What's up guys, my name is Ace, and while it is launch week for Modern Warfare 2 this week, we're still a few weeks out from Warzone 2, as well as the heavily anticipated DMZ mode, which at this point we haven't seen much official information about, but based on leaks and everything, we've managed to put together a general picture of what this game mode is going to be like, and by all accounts it appears it's going to be an extraction style mode where you drop into the big Warzone map, there's going to be a ton of AI around the map, and you perform various objectives, you find loot around the map, and then you have to try to extract from the map safely with that loot. And like I said, as of right now, we don't have a ton of official information regarding DMZ. However, after playing through the campaign of Modern Warfare 2, it looks like they're actually teasing a lot of the potential mechanics we'll be seeing in DMZ, and this does seem to paint a much better picture of what we can expect for the mode. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. I'm going to show off various elements that we saw in the campaign that I feel will be translating to DMZ. And while I will be making sure that this video is spoiler-free as far as the storyline goes for the campaign, I'm going to have mainly multiplayer gameplay, I will be showing a couple clips of these individual mechanics. It shouldn't spoil anything for the story, so don't worry about that if you're somebody that hasn't played the campaign yet, but just know some of the mechanics from the campaign will be shown off here. And the first thing that really caught my eye while I was playing the campaign, where I was thinking this is probably going to be in the DMZ, this is the crafting system, where in certain missions you're able to find various pieces of scrap loot, like just pieces of metal or duct tape or rope, whatever it might be, just individual items that seem useless on their own. However, you can open up your backpack, which opens up a crafting wheel, and from there, you can craft items like a pry tool to open doors or crates that are locked, or you can create a smoke bomb or a mine or various other items. I don't want to spoil too much here. And it seems like this type of a system could really translate well to this extraction style mode, where it's about utilizing every little bit of your environment in order to come through and either complete your objectives or extract with loot. Additionally, with this wheel system, in a different mission, we had the ability to go into our backpack and open up this wheel, which had all of our lethal and tactical equipment in it, and I'd really like to see them utilize this wheel type of a system when it comes to inventory management for the DMZ, rather than the backpack system we saw when we got to play Warzone 2 early at the Call of Duty Next event. Because with that system, especially with a controller, it's just a little bit awkward to navigate and scroll through, whereas with the wheel system, it's much easier to navigate and get to exactly what you want on a controller especially. So when it comes to that one, we'll just have to wait to see how this plays out, because it might be a little bit awkward with different types of inventory in DMZ, because you're likely going to have like weapon slots as well as lethal and tactical slots, and then maybe also other slots for just these items to craft with. But in either case, this definitely caught my eye while I was playing through the campaign as something that could very likely appear in DMZ. Additionally, another thing I noticed in some of the missions is we have these style of crates right here, some of which are locked and you need a pry tool to open. And with these, they're like mini supply crates, and I feel these would also be fitting in really nicely in the DMZ mode. They really fit into the environment, and they seem to make a lot more sense than the loot crates that you would tend to see in Warzone. I feel like it's much more immersive with little crates like this. And it seems like they can contain a wide variety of things, from attachments like the red dot sight that we can see in the campaign here, to adrenaline shots for fast healing, or even explosives, for instance. It looks like they can put pretty much anything in these crates, and I think that would fit in really nicely with DMZ. And speaking of that, the way they have these red dot sights appear in the crate is when you open it, it's like they're just ground loot, and as a result, that makes me think that they're also going to have weapon attachments just scattered around the map, much more along the lines of Blackout rather than what we saw with Warzone. Although with that one, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it is just going to be limited to optics, for instance, but I guess that's one of the things we'll just have to wait and find out. Now, another thing from the Alone campaign mission that we saw is a safe room. And I don't want to spoil too much for those that like problem solving, but essentially you open this room and there is a safe in the room and it's locked and it's got a combination lock on it. And you have to use contextual clues in your environment in order to get the combination, and then once you do that, you can open up the safe, and there's some pretty valuable loot in there, and presumably with DMZ, they could put very valuable loot, including a bunch of cash, which is not used in campaign, but it appears it's going to be used for DMZ. And this actually goes along with some of the leaks that we've been seeing from data miners in the past when it comes to DMZ. There are safes in the DMZ map, and it appears at least one way is to get keys for the safe, but perhaps we're also going to have some safes that have a combination lock, and you have to use clues in your environment in order to open them. But moving on to the next thing that I was noticing while I was playing through the campaign that also goes along nicely with some previous leaks, and this is different enemy types. Within the leaks, there's one type of enemy that they just call Grunts, and these would presumably just be the average AI enemies that you would see in campaign, where it only takes a few shots to kill them, or like one headshot with most guns. They're pretty easy to kill, not really much of a threat. And then from the leaks, we have what they call Special Forces units, which are the heavily armored Grunts, and I believe these are the ones that we saw many times throughout the campaign. These are the ones that are just complete bullet sponges. You have to dump basically an entire mag into them just to get them down. And in the challenges that leaked for DMZ a little while back, there is mention of these Special Forces units, which are described as heavily armored Grunts. Now finally, there's one last thing that I noticed while playing through the campaign that I'm hoping we see throughout the DMZ mode, and this is the stealth mechanics in the campaign. And this one is fairly basic and straightforward. Several of the campaign missions include stealth in them, and with this you crouch walk around to move really silently, you can hide in areas as well, and then you can pick up bottles, for instance, and throw them to draw the attention of an enemy AI character away from where you want to go. So they'll go investigate that sound, and you can use that to sneak past them or sneak up on them and get a silent execution. Additionally, as you're moving around and trying to be stealthy, you will get separate indicators on the compass, which shows the level of awareness the enemy has of you. Like if you see a yellow indicator on the compass, that means that they haven't fully spotted you yet, but they're at least somewhat alerted to something going on and they're going to investigate it. And then if it turns red, that means that you've been fully spotted and they'll start shooting at you and attacking you and calling you out to their friends. And as far as I'm aware, in the DMZ mode, I feel like it's supposed to be a sandbox where you can play it however you want. Where if you want, you can just go as loud as possible, just go in there guns blazing, killing everything in sight. Or perhaps they're also going to give you the option to play it really stealthy. If you need to find that high value item that's surrounded by a bunch of enemy AI soldiers, I'm hoping they'll allow you to use these stealth mechanics to sort of sneak in there, get that loot, and sneak out without making any noise, and potentially attracting other real players that are also going to be in the environment, and they will be a much bigger threat than AI soldiers. And with that, those are the primary mechanics and elements that I noticed while playing through the campaign that I feel will likely translate into the DMZ mode. And I'm really hoping that at least a lot of this ends up translating over, especially like the stealth, for instance. I love the idea of giving the players the freedom to approach situations the way they want to approach it. If they want to go loud, they can go loud. If they want to be stealthy, they can be stealthy. And I feel like stuff like that will just add so much depth to this DMZ mode. And I'm really excited to see more, although I don't have my hopes up too much at this moment that we'll be seeing any DMZ information. Of course, they're probably going to be mainly focusing on the multiplayer launch that's coming later this week. But with DMZ coming in just a few weeks, I'm sure we'll start to get a whole lot more official information on this as we get closer to that November 16th launch date. And with that, this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. What do you think about these various mechanics that were spotted in the campaign potentially coming to the DMZ mode? Are there any of these mechanics that you would really like to see in DMZ? Are there any that you hope don't make it into the DMZ? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.